The Apple Card is one of the cleanest looking cards ever made. And for most people, it's also one of the most overrated. But the trap isn't in the card per se, it's really in the math. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, you're really paying Apple the opportunity cost. You're giving up real cash back, bonuses, and flexibility just to carry around that sweet hunk of titanium metal. Let me be clear, this card isn't a scam. It's sleek and simple. Plus, the app experience is legitimately top tier. So I get why people love it, but that's also why it's so dangerous. It feels like you're done, like you picked a smart option and can stop thinking about it. But the problem is with credit cards, banks don't want you to succeed. You always need to have an understanding of this and focus on getting the most value for the simplicity that you're looking for. Once you stop thinking and start settling, that's how you quietly lose hundreds over time. Add on the fact of Apple's reputation for innovation, plus its brand name, and it's easy for beginners to think this is a great card, which is why it's such a trap for so many. But fret not. In this video, I'll steer you clear. We're talking all things Apple, including the reward structure, 3 reasons it's overrated for most people, some basic math to show you the opportunity cost, who this card is made for, and who should be passing, plus what cards I would get instead. And make sure you stay until the end because there's a very real Apple Card shakeup that's brewing. And if a certain bank takes over this card, things could actually get really interesting. Let's start with the part Apple is counting on you not noticing and the first issue I have with this card. And that's that the rewards are good, but only when you behave exactly how Apple wants. With this card, you get 3% back on Apple and select partner purchases, 2% back on all other purchases using Apple Pay, and 1% back when you use the physical card. Now that sounds fine until real life happens, because the default way people pay in the real world isn't that clean. Some places don't take Apple Pay, sometimes you're shopping online and it's easier to just type the card number out, and sometimes you're just tapping the physical card because it's faster. Let's say you're at a restaurant that doesn't take Apple Pay. You whip out that sweet titanium card, feeling like a baller, only to get a measly 1%. That's why this matters, because this card punishes normal behavior. It doesn't reward you for being a smart spender, it rewards you for staying inside a specific payment method. The better alternative, if you want a simple one-card setup, is a clean 2% catch-all card. Now you may be thinking, oh, but I'm missing out on that 3% then. But really the 3% is a highlight reel. Your actual life is probably more like 2%. Now Apple's marketing shows the 3% category like it's the main event. And to be fair, 3% on Apple and some partners is real and it's not bad. But most people don't spend their yearly budget at Apple, Nike, and a handful of partners. Your rent or mortgage, not this. Your utilities, probably not Apple Pay. Random online purchases, often not Apple Pay. Medical bills, nope. Contractors, nope. So you're starting to see the point here. You end up living in the 2% lane and then accidentally start slipping into the 1% more than you think. This is where the opportunity cost starts kicking in. Not because the card is terrible, but because it's quietly average, while better options exist. You're better off picking a setup where your baseline is locked at 2%, then you can add on one boost card for stuff you actually buy a lot, like food. But we'll dive deeper into that in a second. Because the biggest loss isn't even the 1%. It's what Apple barely gives you, if at all, and that's a welcome bonus. Most strong beginner and intermediate cards can win on the first year on one thing, and that's the welcome offer. The Apple Card sometimes runs promos like they're currently doing for $75 of bonus cash after small spend, but this is way worse than the $200 plus that most cashback cards are offering. Now this is real value in year 1 you're missing out on. Now if you're planning to open a new card anyway, you're better off prioritizing a real welcome offer first, then picking simplicity second. Now that's that strategy first mentality, product first second. That's what will actually get you true value. Now people get this card because it's simple, and I get that. But honestly, it doesn't even win here because its simplicity is conditional. Now let me show you what I mean. Let's say you spend $2,000 per month or $24,000 per year, and be generous to the Apple Card here. Let's say 60% of your spend hits Apple Pay at 2%, 10% hits the 3% partners, and 30% slips into that 1% category. Your Apple Pay spend at 2% would net you $288 per year. That 3% would net you $72 per year. And that rest 1% would net you another $72 per year. That's $432 per year in total cash back. Now compare that to one of the most boring baseline cards, a flat 2%, and 2% of $24,000 is $480 of cash back. So you're down $48 just from the reward leakage. But that $48 isn't that crazy. The real kicker is the welcome bonus plus the better category coverage using the catch-all card. It's also less of a headache. So if you get a card with a typical $200 welcome offer, now you're up $200 immediately. And even if Apple still has that $75 offer, That's a lot to make up for a year if you start slipping into those 1% categories. That's why I call it overrated. Not because it's horrible, but because you're leaving value on the table for no good reason. So if we know what I don't like about this card, who's it actually for? Well, it's for the people who want an ultra simple cashback setup and you already live inside of Apple Pay like it's second nature. It's also for people who buy a ton of Apple products and you live in those 3% partner lanes a lot where it's meaningful. Lastly, it's for people who value Apple Wallet experiences more than maximizing returns, and you're okay with that trade-off. Now, this card is definitely not for you if you want the best first year and beyond value. Also, if you shop a lot online and often type your card number in. Plus, if you want to build a smart 2-card setup that earns more without extra effort. So now that we know who it's for and who it's not for, let me show you what I would do instead. If you want simplicity, get a true flat 2% cashback card from a major issuer and make it your default. That's your set it and forget it backbone. Now for this, I love either the Fidelity Rewards Visa for its 2% back, plus you get the TSA credit, or the Citi Custom Cash for its 2% back, plus you have the ability to scale into Citi Thank You points if you compare it with other cards. Now, if you want maximum value, plus still being simple, do a 2-card setup. If you're looking for cashback, the Citi Custom Cash plus a double cash gets you 2% on everything, plus 5% on your top eligible category that month, up to $500. Now that's a great option. Another option is the Fidelity Visa plus the Capital One Saver for 3% back on dining, groceries, and entertainment. So you're covering a wide variety of different major categories. So here's the recap in 3 punches. The Apple Card isn't a scam, it's just overrated. The rewards look good, but most people leak into that 1% category more than they realize. And the opportunity cost is the kicker here. You have that week welcome bonus, plus there's better setups out there. Now about that Apple Card shakeup I mentioned earlier. Multiple reports say Apple's been exploring new partners as Goldman decides to exit. JP Morgan Chase has been a leading name in those discussions. Plus there's even competition around the payment network. And if Chase ends up picking up this card and refreshing it, then yeah, we can reevaluate because a you are earning Apple Card could change my mind in a big way. Another interesting caveat here is it could be an interesting way to product change into the Chase ecosystem if you have something like the Apple Card and product change it into, say, a Freedom Flex. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. If you found value in this video, hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this weekly. Every week I'm breaking down credit cards, spend optimization, and more. And let me know your thoughts below if you like the Apple Card or if you agree with me and think it's overrated. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.